Welcome to District 2 Podcast, Episode 1. My name is Josh. I am currently 20 years old. Birthday's on November 19th. We'll see how that goes, but it'll be 21. So we'll see how that 21st birthday goes.
Well, my name is Carlos. We're here in District 2 Podcast. We're just trying this new thing out. Here we're just basically just chilling out and we see kind of how this works. So it's really funny. We have been working in the financial industry for a little bit now, and we thought that a really good topic for this first episode is just how the American culture really doesn't take their credit seriously at all. They're like getting in that a lot, so we just want to talk a little bit about it. So why don't you get started, man?
Alright, well, first, you take a sip of your beer and I'll take a hit.
Appreciate it, bro.
So, what was the worst amount of that you've seen, Carlos?
Man, I've been seeing a lot of stuff. In the time that I've been helping people, it's like you can see a lot of shit that is like crazy. I've seen people that are like $20,000 or $30,000 in debt, and they're like, okay, there's no way I can get out of this debt. And it's like, okay, man, it was not hard for you to spend it, so we need to find a solution for this right now. There has to be a way that we can work this out. And I feel the problem is here, at least in the educational system, they don't know how to explain people that everything has a consequence. They should educate everybody as to, okay, there's ways in which you can leverage your money and use credit without having to ruin your life in the process.
My thing is like balance transfers.
Can you explain what a balance transfer is, if you don't mind?
Yeah, for the audience.
Yeah, sure, why
Pretty
not?
much.
Yeah.
So basically, a balance transfer is basically where you have one credit card that's open and you have another that has a large amount of debt on it. The one that you currently have open, the first one, that one has usually a little bit of a credit line where you can actually transfer the debt from one credit card to the other. My thing with it is, typically comes at a lower interest rate for the first few months. Sometimes it's up to 2 years, depending on which credit card company you use.
Depends also on your credit score, depends how your rating has been in the last few years and what offers are available, because offers usually change from time to time and they go with the market, so everything is variable at that point.
Extremely variable, especially when it comes to credit. You know, a lot of people they think because they have a credit score of 650 that they can just get the best fucking shit they can. It's funny, but it's true.
Yeah.
That's the thing. And then you have the old fucks that are like typically white old ladies. Not racist. I mean, I'm white, so.
It really doesn't matter.
Yeah.
It's okay.
But I mean, you'll get these white old ladies that have a credit score of 850, and they've pretty much they just call in expecting that you will give them the best fucking deal, and that you will fucking treat them like they are the queen. But the thing is, the number is not the only thing when it comes to credit cards. There's so much more shit that actually goes into it.
Oh, absolutely. And that's the thing. One thing that happens when you have a system like, for example, FICO here for the United States, people that have a high score, or maybe they have been taking care of their credit, they feel really entitled. Those people think that maybe they have a 760, they have an 800, which is okay. It's a really nice score, and it's good for the bragging rights because everybody loves bragging rights. But at the end of the day, the market will dictate what are the offers or what are the possibilities that are available to you as an individual, and people sometimes don't want to understand or they don't want to be compliant with that. So you'll get people in which you just have a certain amount of offers or possibilities to help them. They'll still be not be conforming to that. They want the best possible deal to them. They don't understand that lending companies, like any other business, needs to have some revenue, and they just want the best deal for themselves. Sometimes it's hard to explain, and as I was saying before, I just think it just goes down to you need to start people since they're young and educating them that companies are there for some profit at some point in time. Doesn't matter, even if they say they're non-profit. When they say they're non-profit companies, that's where they want to make profit. So keep that in mind, because it really they always want to make money. At some point, they wouldn't be there if it wasn't the case.
Exactly, and I'll kind of go into like how a 0% interest rate works in just a minute. But with balance transfers, you basically just take it from one credit card to another, and although that does help for a while, after a while, you have the higher interest rate again, and they're just in the long run of things, really
It's
just
pretty much like a ticking clock. At that point, it's like you have this time to take this chance, to take this window open that is like a really nice deal for you. If you decide to just sleep on it and not take the opportunity for what it's worth, you'll be stuck in the right same position, just with a different name into the label, sort of call it.
exactly, and it's not a good thing because really just trying to stall the inevitable. Honestly, is what you're doing. I mean, yes, it does help with balance transfers, but you do have to be careful with some of them with some companies, with some credit card companies out there because they will do back interest. Thankfully, there are some that don't do back interest, but
It's important to always, when you get into a balance transfer or any lending opportunity that you find with any of the lending companies you're working with, always make sure to read the terms and conditions. We live in a culture, at least here in the United States, in which customer service is held to a high stance. If the customer service representative doesn't do the stuff that he's meant to do, he'll definitely get consequences out of it. So make sure you always review the terms and conditions. Make sure you always know what you're getting into before you do, because otherwise it can cost you hundreds of dollars in the long run, or even thousands.
exactly. I mean, and that's the thing. Most people don't even read the terms when they call into customer service. When you're explaining the terms to them, they're not even listening majority of the time. They're completely just they're in another space. Is the problem, and they'll accept these terms, and
Without even really realizing what's happening. Then they'll go like, "Oh, I was never notified of that." It's like, take it this way: when you receive in the mail, I know everybody hates to check in the mail when you see this really hefty package. Shit looks like a Bible, bro. And it really, you don't want to read that bullshit. You just want to put in the shredder if it has your name and forget about it entirely. But keep in mind that shit, like the credit gods control your life when you're here in the system. So read the goddamn thing and just make sure that you understand what the fuck is happening. Otherwise, you're gonna be into really bad business, into really muddy waters.
exactly, especially with some customers, they'll be brand new, and they'll get that 0%, and they don't understand that 0% expires, and that's really the true problem with new customers when it comes to credit cards.
Them boomers.
Honestly, that's the majority of what it is boomers, and they don't read the terms.
And that's the thing. No, think it this way. Like one thing that amazes me is when you have this younger audience that are like 18 or 19 years old. Those people have an understanding of credit and the lending industry that you think is like, man, this guy knows just as much as I do, and I'm working in this thing. So it's nice because you're seeing the younger people, maybe they're not getting that education from school or from the educational system, but they're looking into the internet, they're looking at the sources. Man, some of these old people don't know what Google is, let alone just trying to make a quick search and realize what am I getting into when I'm signing in for a credit card or for an open end loan or for any sort of loan for that matter.
And that's just the thing, a lot of young people, they know how to use Google. So they look up, how to get a credit card, how to have a good credit history in the long run. And that's just the thing, a lot of boomers, they don't give a fuck. They don't have time for it, they say.
They really don't.
And
Yes.
that's just the thing, they don't know what they're agreeing to. So when they still these high interest rates on the account or fees, they say that they never agreed to it. But you sign up for the credit card, you accepted the terms, and you use the card.
And that's the thing, like, for example, it's not even only a thing of the credit cards. Like, for example, in your case, you're still a young guy. And, for example, when you got your first, when you got your first car, and you had to get a loan for that car, and then you were like, maybe didn't realize at that time the amount of consequences and the amount of ties that you were getting from that loan. Maybe you had that car that you love, it was your dream car for like a lot of years, and it's like, I'm so glad to finally have it. But that's like, shit, I'm paying like 500 or 600 or call it whatever amount in your car loan every single month, and it's making it difficult to make the ends meet sometimes.
Oh, and I completely agree. And that's just the problem, I'll be completely transparent. I own a Jeep right now, Jeep Renegade, and, I first got it, it was for my job. But the thing is, I didn't realize what I was getting into when it came to that loan, because now I'm stuck in it, and there's really no way out of it.
It's really funny because I remember a few months ago I was in Lake Havasu. Lake Havasu is a little town in Arizona. So I was just vacationing a little bit with the family and everything. And I saw a lot of like Lamborghinis. Like they were super beautiful cars. Yeah, and all sorts of colors and models you could ever see. And I was seeing from like a lot of people, I will ask them like, how does these kids do to have like Lamborghinis? They were like 19 or 20 years old, maybe not older than that.
Yeah.
And then you realize most of those kids only work for their car. They don't pay rent, they don't pay groceries, they pay utilities. They're working exclusively and only to pay their gasoline, their oil changes, and the car payment.
Well, that's the thing, and you get a lot of rich kids out there that own those fancy cars.
Oh, Scottsdale area does that shit a lot.
Exactly, but the problem is a lot of those kids that have families that can't pay for their car.
Sadly.
And that's just the thing. So these kids that are in these middle class families, low class families, they're buying these cars.
The bragging rights, once again. I mean, they just want to have the bragging rights of, I own a Lambo.
Well, that's just the problem too. They're getting themselves into debt at such a young age that they really don't realize what they're getting into. And buying those fancy cars, yeah, that's awesome, but do that later down the road because right now that's really gonna mess you up.
And that's the thing. I mean, feel free to ask at any lending company or at any place that you ask for a loan for a vehicle to. Please don't ask the dealership. They won't tell you. They won't tell you the full picture of the thing. But if you ask any lending company, as soon as you get that car out of the dealership, as soon as the last two wheels step out of the dealership, that car maybe lost like around $4,000 in value.
Oh, easily.
And at that point, you have what it's known as negative equity. Negative equity, as in simple terms, for anybody that doesn't know, just means that you own more in whatever the property is, the piece of property is, than what the property is actually worth. So you're stuck in a situation in which you always end up losing.
And that's really just the problem, you got all these young kids that are trying to really look like these people that are, these younger kids that are richer and things like Scottsdale and things like that. And they're getting themselves into this massive debt. And that's not even just really in Arizona. That's even just with like things like Snapchat media.
No, absolutely. It's really funny because you're always going to see pretty much in every like sort of popular media, you're going to see pop music, you're going to see the hip hop culture. It's always about the bragging, who has the best jewelry, who has the best cars, who has the best everything. And they want to grow up like these guys and feel like they have money and feel like they have power. And in real life, they're just limiting their freedom. Because at the end of the day, I feel everybody that works and has to get up at 4, 3 in the morning to go to their day shift and get the bread, as they will call it in here, they don't really want the money, if I'm completely honest. They want the freedom. They want the freedom money provides.
Mm-hmm.
If one day something in your house goes bad, you have the money to pay it. If you need gasoline, you go and buy it. If you want some food, you go and get it. And you want the freedom. You don't really want the money. I've come to figure it out. And that's really what comes down to. It doesn't matter if you have a Honda Civic or a BMW Series 5. At the end of the day, they're just vehicles and they take you from point A to point B. So that's something to keep in mind sometimes.
And I'll be honest, I do like sports cars and fancy things.
I love German cars myself. I mean, I'm guilty of that sin myself. It's not
They're good.
To be bad about.
But the problem is a lot of these cars are expensive, and all these younger kids, are getting into this massive amount of debt with these fancy cars. But why not just get a job and save up for it, and literally just pay for it off of Craigslist? Like,
I remember I did my senior year in high school here when I came to this country. And it was really funny because I had a financial mathematics professor, and he will tell me about that same thing. It's like, you really can just go, as long as you give it time, save up $1,500, for example. Get a really old car, like maybe a 2005, 2006 Honda Civic that will last a little bit. Get that car. Use it to get a better job. Keep saving up money. Then at one point you can maybe sell that car for a little less. With what you already have saved, you can get a better car and keep escalating until you can get that car that you want because you have earned it and you can actually afford what it means to have that car and that compromise.
That's just a funny thing as well. When it comes to wealth, a lot of these younger kids that they're like, $60,000, that's a lot of money. But a lot of these boomers and people that are older like that, they're making $200,000, $300,000, $400,000. And it's just crazy to see, all these younger kids expecting such a low amount. Like, problem is minimum wage is going up.
Oh, yes. No, and the problem is, and a lot of people don't realize this, when minimum wage goes up, that doesn't mean that you're going to be making more money necessarily. That's what it might seem. But think it this way. The driver, they got to pick up the truck to take the gasoline to the gas station, also needs to be paid more. So that makes the gas prices go up as well at some point. I'm not going to go into super deep of the economics in here. I just mean that when you are getting more wage for doing exactly the same thing because the wage went up, everybody else applies for that same rule. So all things as far as materials and as far as goods and services have to go up too to compensate for those compensations you gotta give to the workers as well.
And that's just the thing. It's not even just these big, massive companies that are going to hire their minimum wage. It's these small companies like coffee shops too.
Oh yeah, no, and especially when you see these little local companies, they're already limited as far as staffing because they're just starting. Some businesses are not as big as your Starbucks or your Dutch Bros or any other coffee shops or restaurants. Some companies are just starting and they're barely making it to satisfy having a minimum number of employees sometimes and be able to get profits out of what they're making. Sometimes, and this is for somebody who thinks that, oh, company owners are always wealthy and they have money to spare. No, sometimes there are people like you and me that are just trying to make a living and achieve higher grounds for themselves and for their future legacy. They're just trying to make whatever they can to make a little profit and maybe reinvest it to the company to make it bigger later on.
Exactly. And you got a lot of. This is honestly the perfect time to have a small company because the economy is booming right now.
Oh, that's the thing. It's really hard. That's the thing. I always have this opinion in which it's always hard to predict the market. The company's doing really, basically the economy is doing really good right now. You never know what's going to happen 6 months or 1 year from now. You always have to find the possibilities to make the business you want be able to work for you at one point in time. And that's the thing. I mean, at the end of the day, you just want to make sure that you can find something that you're passionate about and that you are able to make a profitable thing out of it. Later on, that's the thing, like generations ago, I don't know, maybe 40, 50 years, I really don't know the time. Back in the day, coffee was not a drink that you will have as spread out as now. Coffee was like a poor people's drink. Like if you were like in the working class, you would drink coffee because it was inexpensive to make. And that's how companies started. And they were like, maybe we can add some fancy elements or some sort of decor to this thing and make it something that people in the middle, even higher class, want to have.
And it's also funny because a lot of people say technology is really slow right now.
Oh, yeah.
And think about it. Like 50 years ago, you didn't have a smartphone. You didn't have
know.
computers. You didn't have. There's a lot of things. There's a lot of technology, like automated, self-driving cars. Like.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's the thing, like, I feel like right now there's a platform for everything you want to do as long as you know how to document yourself properly and get the right mechanisms to work in your favor. Like, even ourselves talking right now. 50 years ago, we would have need somebody to look at us and be like, this guy's had something to say and put us in the radio, put us on the TV. Right now, we maybe are talking and nobody's listening. But we're here giving our opinion, and this is the internet, and fuck, if you want to hear it, that's good. And if not, that's also fine. I mean, it's whatever. But we have the platform, and everybody has a platform to do whatever they want. They want to do music, go for it. They want to do art, go for it. To post your paintings on Instagram, I'll give them a like if I see them.
He will. He will like and follow every single one of you.
Big time. If I see you guys, I'll follow you at some point in time. I can assure you that. And anything, pretty much everything that you feel passionate about, the internet has been able to give this platform for everybody. Just post whatever you want, and if you're able to focus it in the right direction, you might have a business opportunity some years down the line or some months down the line, depending on the cases.
Exactly. And that's just a funny thing, you know. The internet has created jobs. Like, who in 1997 would have really thought that the internet would be so booming that it's really consumed our lives?
So we have some kids fucking playing Fortnite in YouTube, on fucking Twitch. Like, we have some kids that are making more than what him and I do together in a year.
Oh, and 3 years, honestly.
Fuck, they made me feel bad, bro.
I'm just saying.
It's really crazy. Like, I mean, there's some people, and when, like, the whole Bitcoin thing came out, some people bought the shit when it was worth fucking nothing. And out of the sudden, fuck, they were millionaires. Because, shit, this shit that I bought for, like, maybe a unit for, like, a few cents, now it's worth $10,000s. Like, I can fucking sell this shit and live for a fucking year in fucking Connecticut.
And it's funny because the Bitcoin, as far as I remember, went up to like 21 or 27, something like that. Some high crazy amount like that. Like, I had heard of Bitcoin. At the time, I was probably like 8 years old when Bitcoin came out. And I was like, I want to invest in that. But I was so young, I didn't really give my opinion. I didn't have the money, obviously. And that's... If I was honestly like 10 years older, I would have invested in that. I would be rich right now.
Oh, yeah. No, absolutely. And that's the thing. Sometimes you feel like, shit, I could have done this shit and I didn't. I remember back in the day, I mean, looking at it, I was out of the country at that time. Fuck, you think I knew how to do stocks? Bro, I was thinking about what having for dinner the next day.
Yeah.
I was just like, man, some fucking eggs and bacon with some fucking bomb right now. And that was not thinking about stocks or fucking bonds or Roth IRAs or call whatever.
Isn't that funny though? Like, you came to the U.S. and now you're here on a work visa.
Yeah.
Like, what are you gonna do if that expires? Like, honestly.
I really don't fucking know, bro. Life will provide at that point in time, and we'll definitely be looking for a solution at that point. That's the thing. The world is a really big place, and you are really never guaranteed what's gonna happen in the future. I will say.
Oh yeah, even I can agree on that. You know, things like that. It's crazy.
Yeah, no, it's definitely crazy, and that's the thing. I mean, I would say at that point in time, just take advantage of the circumstances you're on right now, because people 50 or 60 years ago would have wanted to have the opportunities you have to expose their platform or the business idea and have somebody else possibly looking at them and thinking, hey, this is interesting, or this could be something beneficial for me at one point in time.
Exactly. I can agree on that. Well, this is District 2 signing out. We'll see you guys on the next one.
Absolutely. Well, it was glad to see you for this short time. And if you think this is cool, give it a like, give it a share. I don't know what it is in these platforms anymore.
Snapchat it.
God damn it, son. Do whatever you feel like you want to do to this thing. And we'll see you on the next one at some point.
Yeah.
Have a good night, okay?
Deuces.